Hi, I'm Regina Davis.
And I'm Patrick Coleman. Welcome
to Entrepreneurship, Wisdom to Wealth. Thank you for agreeing to, participate in this and just kind of give some of your wisdom. So you are with Black Star Companies, and so we just wanted to first find out, how did you get started?
In the world of business?
Yes.
My parents were entrepreneurs. My grandfather on my dad's side, he was an entrepreneur as well. He was a photographer in Muskegon. So I've always had people in my family who were, not only employed but also self-employed. They had a business on the side. So learned from them. My mom worked at General Motors in Grand Rapids. She was a sewer, a seamstress, I guess you call them, on the line, make sewing the car seats. But my mom and dad were also licensed cosmetologists. So they owned a beauty shop on Fuller. So they had a beauty shop, and my mom worked at General Motors. So, that was normal. That was a normal part of my life, was people working and having a business growing up. So I got started. She got me started actually in the beauty shop. They bought me a vending machine. So it was my responsibility to keep the vending machine up to date and working properly. So that was probably back, I think I was in like 6th or 7th grade.
Long time ago, huh?
Yes, maybe a very long time ago.
So this has really been in your blood, is basically what you're telling.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, just the desire to do things a little bit differently, than to just have a job.
But being an entrepreneur really is a job. I mean, and there's a lot of work that goes into it. So this is some of the things that we like to share with some of our viewers, because our audience is people who are just thinking maybe about becoming an entrepreneur, some who are already doing their thing, some people wanting to turn some of their side hustles into something that they really do. They found that it's something that they love. And so I know that you've been in the construction business for several years now. So, and I do know that you also had not only that vending machine you're talking about, you also had a bookstore at some point.
Right. So I evolved throughout the years, but when I say a job, I mean a job is somewhere where you go, you put in time, and you get paid for your time. Being an entrepreneur, you may not have that. That's not a direct correlation. That's what we dream of, and that's what we desire, is to receive money for our time or selling our product or service. But you're not guaranteed that. You're taking a risk. So when I say a job, there's a direct correlation to what you do and what you receive. So, but yeah, so I had after the vending machine, I started selling popcorn on a popcorn, I would call it a cart first. So we did that, and then I graduated from a cart into a popcorn wagon. So all that happened between the age of, I would say 7th grade and just about the summer before my 9th grade year in high school. So that was the earlier years. And then after college, I came home and we opened the bookstore, Images Books, on Franklin and Eastern. So we were we focused on African-American titles and authors at the bookstore. And we did that for about 3 or 4 years before Barnes & Noble opened in Grand Rapids. So once the you call them, I forgot, what, like a Walmart, but the big box bookstores came and kind of killed us in our niche with the bookstore. So,
Let me ask you this. You don't mind if I call you Les, do you?
No, not at all.
Okay. It seems, from that brief introduction, that your pedigree is entrepreneurship. do you consider what you do a job or do you consider it work?
What I do currently, I consider it a business.
Okay. Okay.
It's
The reason
definitely it's not a job,
right.
but it's a lot more than a job.
Got you. And that's why I asked that question, Les, because as Regina said, some of our listeners and viewers, they may want to know the difference between the two and how they can be inspired just by what you're sharing to turn something around in them, to open something up in them, to spark something in them, to say, let me take this and turn it into something like Les has stated, into a business. What would be that inspiration if you had to share that with someone?
You definitely have to do what you love. You can't be in something just for money. If you're in it for money and you're not successful, then you won't keep going when times get tough and get rough, which they do. They get rough and they get tough probably every other day. So you have to do what you love in order to want to raise it, make it better, and to ultimately succeed to whatever your point of what you view as success is. You know, everyone has different goals. Everyone has different visions of success, and those change daily, probably, or not daily, but they change often, or at least they change with age. So you have to recognize what those are, and then realize that it takes a lot to get there for the most.
And can someone pull, Les, from the last statement you just made, can someone pull success from that and use that as a catapult or a catalyst to get them to their desired goal?
I would say you would need to. Over the years, I was talking to someone earlier today. I said when I was 21, my goal, what I thought success would be, was to be retired by the time I was 45. Now at 53, it is to do what I love to do, to make enough money, to live comfortably, and to most importantly have control of my time. So some people would say that is the same, as being retired, but it isn't, because I'm still working.
Right.
But I'm working and I'm doing what I love to do. So I guess as an entrepreneur, you have to always be quick and have the ability to quickly adjust and be lean with what you're doing so that you can adjust for whatever changes come around. So my definition of success has changed over the years. It wasn't something that came quickly, but it was something that I realized that I had to adjust it, or I would be I wouldn't be as happy as I am today doing what I do, if that makes sense.
It does. And I had just one more question, Les. In the heightened state of this culture, as a Black man, what is that one thing that you could share with our audience? Because our audience is, it's a mixture. What would be that one piece of advice, that one thing? And I know I can probably pull something out of everything that you said, which was very enriching to me. What would be that one thing that you would share with someone, that one piece of advice that they could take away from Les Allen?
The first thing is just don't stop. If it's your goal, or if you're doing what you love, you can't stop. You're gonna fall.
Okay.
And you need to learn how to fall so that you don't kill yourself when you fall, and you can get right back up and continue down the road to get you to your goal, or to continue doing what you love. So that will be the first step. If you don't think you can handle the fall, then you definitely want to just get a job, because you're gonna fall. You're gonna have people throwing rocks at you. You're gonna get hit. You're gonna get run over by trucks. You just have to be, very resilient, and understand that this is what you want to do, and you're gonna do it. And once you get to that point of doing it, you're going to be okay. And again, you have to, in order to get back up after getting beat constantly, you absolutely have to love what you're doing. And at the same time, you can't chase money, because if you're only chasing money, there's going to be a lot of other ways to get money without getting beat.
You're right. You're right.
So, and I would also share with the audience is, if it were easy, everybody would do it.
Yes, sir.
And if you see people who are successful and they make it look easy, it's because you don't see what they're doing at 2 a.m, 6 a.m, off camera. You don't see what they're doing. And when they get in front of the camera or they get in front of the interview folks, they're built not to sweat.
Right.
So just know that you have to be built not to sweat, or if you are sweating, to contain that sweat so that your clients or your enemies don't see that.
I like that. I hope you'll allow me to kind of coin that. I'll give you credit. I like that though.
Les, I also wanted to ask you a little. Go ahead.
No, I've borrowed several lines in my life.
Okay.
Les, I also wanted to ask you just about your company and what you're actually doing now. What type of work that you feel that you've retired into?
Oh, I'm not retired. I'm just working. But,
well, you're just working, but you love it. So, we're thinking that,
I love it.
Yeah. So you can do it forever now.
Yeah, I can do it without thinking of it as work, because I love doing it. So what we do with the Black Star Companies is basically we're a construction and energy services company. We provide our largest client, our most, I would say, our largest client is the federal government. So we provide construction services to many different branches of the federal government, construction and energy services to many different branches of the federal government, whether it be the Department of Army, the Department of Navy, FEMA, and other organizations or departments within the federal government. So I deal with those type of clients for that. And I also am doing some energy efficient housing and housing developments. And so just looks like I'm about to get a deal with a group in Trinidad and Tobago.
Nice.
So to do some work with them there. So I'm doing stuff that I just love to do. I love building. I've always loved doing remodels or building. And I've always had not always, but I've been fortunate enough to find people who are experts in that field that work with me. So I am not an engineer. I am not an architect. I am just a simple builder, but I have good teammates and they love what they're doing as well. So they don't mind me being out front getting shot first.
Okay.
Love it.
Yeah, love it. So we want to thank you for actually joining us, and we hope that you'll actually come again because you do have lots of pearls of wisdom, I do believe, to share with our audience. So thank you, and we would love for you to come again.
Anytime.
Thank you so much, Les.
All right. Thank you very much, Patrick and
Yes,
Ms.
sir.
Regina.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good night.
Have a great night.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jess Manning, for joining us. As we would like to just get a little background, I understand that your background is communications, and so I'm thinking that is why and how you have arrived at the new agency, which is the 1120 Agency, which is located in Atlanta, Georgia, correct?
It is, yes.
Okay. So just tell us a little bit how you got started.
Oh boy, it's been a journey. I started my business in 2006 and had an opportunity to work with Burger King on a project where they were looking to encourage more urban youth between the ages of 18 and 24 to come to the restaurants, specifically the Magic Johnson owned restaurants at that time. So we created a campaign. At the time, my business was called A-List Media, and we created a campaign, a sneaker design campaign. And, it was just a lot of fun. And I really was still working a job and was very happy in that career, but wanted to just kind of, dip my toe in the water of being a entrepreneur, and wanted to be able to do something that was a bit more creative. And so that's really kind of how I got my start. And it just kind of propelled from there. I continued to work on various projects for companies that were looking to reach that younger consumer, but for the most part, the African-American multicultural consumer. And so I've worked on campaigns for Ford. I've worked on campaigns for Lincoln, for various hair care products and brands. I've just really I've been blessed to have been able to work on a lot of different things that were really fun for my culture and gave back and really celebrated our culture. And so that's been, just an incredible experience for me.
So where you are today, you're working more with women now. So you've kind of changed the age group maybe? Or is it the same age group?
Still working with young women. I'm working with an organization called Black Women's Health Imperative. And one of the things that we have, the Black Women's Health Imperative has been around for almost 40 years. And our audience it varies from, 17 years old on up. And we address a variety of different issues. And so that's been a lot of fun for me. We work with a lot of talent, which I've been able to do a lot of in my own career, being able to just marry entertainers and entertainment with corporate programming or corporate campaigns.
Nice.
That's been a very unique experience. I was doing a lot of that before influencer engagement really even was called influencer engagement. Mm-hmm. My agency now is probably primarily focused more on influencer engagement as it pertains to working with companies. That's probably about 60% of my business now. And then, because of course I was working in public relations and doing a lot of that, media relations, building out communications plans, all of those kind of things. But I've really kind of veered away from that. And it's been, still do a lot of that. Still do a lot of that, but have veered more into influencer engagement, talent outreach, and branding in terms of helping businesses and individuals. That's the progression of what is happening. Communications right now is incredibly vital for every organization and company. Being able to, really understand and help the world understand their key messages is, where the power is.
Right.
Jess, can I ask you a question? And well, before I ask you this question, Jess, I want to let you know you sound so enthusiastic about what you do.
Oh, thank you.
Say that.
I enjoy it. I do enjoy it.
It sounds like it. The question that I have, as a woman, were doors open for you, or did you have to work as hard as a man to get to the position that you're in now?
Definitely harder. When I first started my business and decided I was going to really do it, like, left my job, all of that, which I don't encourage anybody to do. I say work yourself out of a job, then start your business, because there's just so many unknowns. But there was, at that particular time, there were a lot of, especially in Atlanta, there were a lot of men who were in positions of power, decision-making power, in these various roles, working. And so, for lack of a better way to say this, a lot of times the opportunities went to people that they knew. And the people that they knew looked like them. They didn't look like me. They weren't women. There were a few of us who were doing work in PR, but we weren't getting the bigger contracts, if you understand what I'm saying. There were only a few people who were getting the big contracts with, Lexus and, the automotive companies, and then the soft drink companies and that kind of thing. There weren't a lot of us, a lot of women, Black women especially, who were getting contracts in those spaces to do work. If they did, they get a little piece. And then, of course, as they did really well in that, with that piece that they got, they might get an opportunity to do something bigger.
Right.
And so you really had to know how to develop relationships. You really had to know how to navigate around some of those folks who were in those decision-making, positions.
Right.
And you really had to show your worth, and you had to do it 10 times better than somebody else who, was that maybe had a lot or less experience than you did. Mm-hmm. And even if they looked at what you had already done, they still would say, well, what can you do? What can you do this for us? And we got lowballed a lot. We got lowballed in terms of quotes and things that were offered to us that we had already had experience in, that we had the connections for, that we really could bring, more to the table on. And, it just, we had to prove ourselves over and over again quite a bit. It was tough.
Well, I appreciate that. That was very inspiring to me. As an entrepreneur myself, I'm always open to equality when it comes to not just the cultural, but the ethnicity of utilizing both men and women because of their skill set. So I do appreciate that response.
Well, I think that's important. I think it's important to be able to look at what someone has done, right, what they're doing, and then also be able to look at what, how they handle certain things and given opportunities. If you have an opportunity, there's nothing wrong with us having gotten a little piece of something to prove ourselves. What was wrong was when we had proved ourselves 2 or 3 times and we were still never considered for a bigger piece.
That wasn't enough.
Yeah, we were always, and so I think when you see someone who is really growing and they're doing all the right things, they're investing in themselves, they're disciplined, they're putting things in place for their business to grow, for them to be able to provide you with more resources. Yeah. I think it's important to be able to, acknowledge that, and then be able to say, I want you to take on a bigger role if you think that they're ready for it. So yeah, I think that's important.
You've really answered like what my next question actually would be, which would be, what, pearl of wisdom, I guess, that you would like to share, especially in, maybe even to our women, audience, our female audience of entrepreneurs.
In 30
And
seconds
just to
or less.
everyone. And just to everyone.
In 30 seconds or less.
Yeah.
In 30 seconds or less. Couple things, and learning in the time that we're in right now, I think one of the biggest things that you can do is invest in yourself. The biggest thing that you can do is that. The second biggest thing that you can do is to believe in yourself. Know that what you have to offer is great. And if you don't feel that it is, you need to figure out in your own self-assessment or an assessment that you, with some trusted mentors, decide, okay, how can you be better at certain areas where you have weakness? Those two things I think are two of the biggest things. I think the third thing that I would say, which probably it should be the first thing, is learning discipline. And I'm still there. I'm still not there. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I fall short a lot of times, but I'm getting better. And so my goal is to be, this year going into 2021 is to really focus on being disciplined. I think that makes the difference between you and your competition. I think that when you're disciplined, no one can outwork you because you are focused on what it is you need to get done. And I think those other two things will fall in place with that, because when you're disciplined, you want to do more to be better. So you want to focus on how do I be better? So you invest in yourself. And you can only invest in yourself if you believe in you. So those are 30 seconds or less.
Well, you went over 30 seconds, but it's okay.
Those are pearls of wisdom. And so we thank you so much for joining us and being part of this. And we'd love for you to come back at some point.
I'd love to. Thank you for having me.